If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man.
Check.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. Welcome back to World History According to the Bible. I'm Shamar Yah, and to my right,
Deacon Rakab Allah.
the deacon. All praises. So tonight we're going to be going into Joseph, the dreamer, the beloved of Jacob. So if you don't know, Joseph, he's one of the sons of our forefather Jacob.
Is it frozen?
He's one of the sons of our forefather Jacob. However, you don't see Joseph in the 12 tribes chart, right? It's actually because his sons are the ones that were inducted into the tribes, for lack of a better word.
Come.
Hopefully they. So let's go ahead and get into the history, and let's talk about Joseph the Dreamer. We're going to start at Genesis chapter 37. It's going to be a lot of reading tonight. It's a lot of history, because we're really just getting the story. We're going to read Genesis chapter 37, the whole chapter.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him.
So from the beginning, Joseph was like he had a special place in Jacob's heart. And it was recognized amongst his brothers that there was a level of favor that Joseph had from their father. And they envied him so much that they couldn't even be peaceful when they got around him. They couldn't even talk to him because they just had that envy boiling within themselves. They couldn't even deal with him peaceably as a brother. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us?
So Joseph had a dream. He tells his brothers, he was like, man, I had a dream that I had a sheaf and y'all had sheaves, but your sheaves bound to mine. And so they're like, oh, like what you saying? We going to be bowing unto you. You going to be ruling over us? Go ahead.
Con. Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dream and for his words. Verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made of obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same.
So Joseph keeps having these dreams, and mind you, he probably thinking this is just sibling rivalry. These are still my brothers, and he's telling them about his dream, kind of like out of this excitement, curiosity. But his brothers are envious. They like, man, what are you saying? Like, you trying to say that you gonna rule over us and have the dominion? So his brothers are getting even more envious, but his father's kind of like paying attention and sitting back observing what he's saying, because he's realizing these dreams are sent of the Lord to his son. So he kind of observing and see, okay, well, let me see what this dream is gonna mean. Let me see why you're being sent this dream, what this is gonna play out to be in our lives. Let's drop down to verse 17.
And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan.
Go ahead.
And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
Uh-huh.
And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh.
So that's how bad it got, because of the favor that he had from their father, and because of, the dreams that he had told his brothers about. They got to a point where they was conspiring to kill him, all in a group. They see him coming from a distance because he's looking for his brethren, and they see him coming from a distance, and they like, man, here come the dreamer. Here he come. They're like, man, let's just get rid of this dude once and for all, right? They out in the field. There's just them as a group with each other, right? Go ahead.
Verse 20. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say, Some evil beasts have devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
Uh-huh.
And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it.
So they got to a point where they're like, man, let's just get rid of him once and for all. It is what it is. And Reuben, who's the firstborn, he's the one that's like, man, this is messed up. Pretty sure he had his feelings, pretty sure he felt some type of way, because Joseph is the only one that we read that Jacob gave like a special token or an item to represent the favor that he had. So it's one thing that he already had that favor. It's another thing that their father skipped most of them to give him a coat. And then Joseph is having these dreams, which are of the Lord, saying there's going to come a point in time where y'all going to bow down to me. So they hate him. And they're conspiring while they have an opportunity, like, man, let's just kill him and throw him in a pit, and we could just say that some animal got him. It's only us out here. As long as everybody sticks to the story, no one's going to be any the wiser. Reuben realizes, man, this is pretty messed up. He like, how about this? Let's put him in a pit. We'll take the coat, and we'll make it seem like something happened to him, and we'll just leave him for dead. But Reuben plans on going back to save his younger brother, right? So they took his coat. They took it. They trying to set up the scene. What verse were we at? 25. 25.
And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt.
Go ahead.
And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren went content.
So Judah, he ain't really looking out for his well-being, But he like, if we do this, we're not even really gonna get anything out of it. We kind of got this body to deal with. We're in an area that it's possible that he's gonna be found. He was already in there was already a dug trench or a pit out there. Somebody dug it. So he like, man, what are we really gonna get out of just getting rid of him? How about this? We can get some money out of it if we don't just throw him in this pit, but we'll sell him to those Ishmaelites over there, right?
Plus, ain't no telling, like, they probably wouldn't be able to sleep right if they killed their own brother. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you would think, but that's the thing. We romanticize the Bible, where a lot of times we just feel like everyone and everything is exactly how the Lord would have it to be. But the reality is, when people talk about free will, this is free will being exercised. They had an envy and they had an animosity towards their brother. They never dealt with it, and they never suppressed it within themselves, and they never checked each other. Mm-hmm. As soon as one of them was saying, like, we should slay him, he should immediately have been ostracized, like, hey, what are you talking to? Kill our brother? That's crazy. I'm not joining y'all. Matter of fact, if y'all do that, you're going to have to take me too, because I'm not killing my brother. But instead, they were so envious. They were all in cahoots, minus Reuben, who at least had enough of a conscience to be like, man, we could tie him up and kind of frame this, but I'm going to come back and save him. But he still wasn't willing to stand up and tell his brethren, nah, this is wrong. Like, we shouldn't even tie him up in the first place, because in them few hours from us leaving and me coming back, something could happen, right? Go ahead.
Verse 28. Then there passed by Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and whither shall I go?
So Reuben had already left, and this is why I said this is exactly what ended up happening. Reuben thought, okay, we're going to tie him up. I'll be back to save him later. While that's happening, Reuben leaves, and he's thinking that he's got this master plan that's all falling into place. Whole time during that break that Reuben wasn't there, Judah was like, man, let's sell him. And he sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites as a slave at this point. And then they set the whole scene. Let's read on.
Verse 31. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, this have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no.
And that's the crazy part. A lot of times, and this is also a difference between like righteousness and wickedness. It was already wicked what they was doing, but they furthering the wickedness and furthering they coming up with a whole story now, right? They lying to their father, oh, we found this. You didn't find it. You took it off your brother. They put blood on it to make it look like, something happened. Whole time they took a kid of the goats just for the blood so that they can set the scene up right. And then they sold their brother to slavery. So it's a cold situation, right? And the envy that they initially had, it grew. And it grew until it became so much more than just a little bit of animosity, a little bit of a cold shoulder. They basically were willing to murder him. Matter of fact, they were about to before they decided to put him in a pit and then sell him. So all of that coming from their minds, coming from their hearts out of the envy of their younger brother, right? And it's sad to see. Go ahead.
Verse 33. And he knew it and said, it is my son's coat, and evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes and put his sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, for I will go down into the grave until my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him.
And look at the effect that had, right? His father, he doesn't know that Joseph has been sold. And I'm pretty sure, knowing the favor that Joseph had with Jacob, had he heard his sons gossiping and talking and speaking certain things against Joseph, he would have checked that. So they're keeping this secret, but they just have this envy and this animosity amongst themselves that they're trying to figure out when they're going to have that moment where nobody else is around and they can execute. And they done, bless you, they done created a whole story, took the goat, took the coat, they lying to him. It's all these different things, right? Let's jump over to Genesis chapter 39, and let's start at verse 1.
Genesis chapter 39 and verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him off the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither.
Go ahead.
And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand.
Go ahead.
And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand.
So Joseph was in a pretty rough predicament, but he ended up getting bought by a wealthy, powerful man that put him to work and then saw like, dang, it's something different about you. The way that you move, the way that you have success with the things that you do, it's something divine about the way that you move. And so he's recognizing, okay, the Lord is with this man. That's the reason why he's so successful. It seemed like everything he touched, he got like the King Midas. Everything he touching is getting better. Everything he touching is done with such a level of excellence that he can't help but to acknowledge, man, you need to be over more stuff. I'm going to be able to prosper in so many ways if I just give it all over to you. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field.
And ain't that why they love Israel to this day? When the Lord is with us, everything he was doing was prospering so much. He was just like, man, I'm going to put everything into your hands because I know you're just going to build it. And his house was getting blessed because Joseph was there. So he recognizing like, man, since you got here, everything's been getting better, right? All these nations, they understand this, and they realize this, not just about Joseph, but Israel as a nation. Whatever nation has us in captivity was the nation that flourished. When we were in Egypt, that's when Egypt was the superpower of the world. When we were under Rome and Greece, that's when they had their authority and their power. Look at America to this day. The countries that are the most powerful, or the country that is the most powerful right now on the earth, has the children of Israel in subjection. So this has been recognized with our people, and the heathen have been trying to bring us close enough to be able to benefit from the blessings that Israel produces. Verse 7.
And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand.
So, actually, let's keep reading.
There is none greater in this house than I. Neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?
So, it said in verse 6 that this man, Potiphar, he didn't even know everything that he owned because he gave it to Joseph and trusted him so much. It said the only thing that he was aware that he knew he had was the food that he was eating. Everything else, he just entrusted it to Joseph. Like, hey, you're going to go ahead and get that handled. So he sees that these things are increasing. He knows that there's a benefit, but he hasn't even really checked up on Joseph and, hey, tell me the reports and show me the profit, show me the increase, show me the percentages. He just like, I know he getting it done. He's blessed and well-favored. So now Potiphar's wife is looking at Joseph, and she's trying to tempt him. And Joseph is like, look, for one, this man has dealt with me kindly. Yeah, he's not an Israelite, But this man has been nothing but kind and respectful. He didn't entrusted me with everything, and the only thing that I can't have is you because you're his wife. So he's like, man, I wouldn't do that. On top of the fact that this is wickedness in the sight of my people's God. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or be with her. And it came to pass about this time, that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within.
So it wasn't like she said it that one time and Joseph time. It wasn't like that one time she said it, and she like, okay, well, just do this just this one time. Now, it was every day. She watching Joseph. She got her eye on Joseph like a hawk. Every day she trying to tempt him, trying to do little things to get his attention, but it's that same thing. It's all in secret. Just like his brothers were moving in secret, keeping their hatred a secret from their father, and more than likely from their brother. They were Potiphar's wife was keeping it a secret that she had this unrighteous lust towards Joseph, and she's tempting him, trying to get him to lay with her. So day by day, Joseph is staying strong. But now she finally has an opportunity where she's in the house, Joseph's in the house, he's doing his thing, and she realizes, oh, there's no one here with us. Verse 12.
And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled, and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid upon his garment by her until his Lord came home.
So once again, Joseph dealt with a lot of treachery. He dealt with a lot of betrayal, a lot of envy. People saw him and they saw what they wanted. They when he had the favor from his father, they like, man, I want that favor. So they envious and they jealous. When Potiphar's wife saw him, she was like, I desire him. And she sets him up again. She literally grabbed him by the garment like, look, I'm tired of waiting. I'm not going to tempt you no more, and I'm not playing. Like, take this off.
Give me them draws.
Right. And he like, man, this is so bad of a situation. He just had to run. And she ripped a piece of his garment. That's how tight she was holding him, trying to get him to lay with her. And so she realizes, okay, this is probably going to get out. His garment probably ripped who knows how much. But he royalty, so it's probably obvious, like, hey, you got a big rip in your garment. That's not, you know what I'm saying? People going to notice. So she creates a story to cover her own self. All right, well, so basically she accuses him of trying to rape her. And she's like, according to the law, if a woman lifts up her voice, she's not guilty of whatever happens because she tried to get help. So she's saying, hey, I practice, the custom, not that she's an Israelite, but that's a common thing. She practiced the custom, and she said, when I did that, Joseph ran up out of here. And here's the proof. I got a piece of his garment because I was fighting him off. Set him up. Let's drop down to verse 20.
Verse 20. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison.
Go ahead.
And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it prosper.
So again, just because Joseph is going through these hard times in his life, he's experienced a lot of betrayal, but the one thing that he hasn't done is he hasn't forsaken his integrity. When his brethren had that envy, he didn't go against them. And at this point, he hasn't even seen them since he's been sold. When Potiphar's wife, and mind you, he's a rich, powerful man himself at this point. He's entrusted with all these riches. He hasn't forsaken his integrity when she was trying to tempt him with lust. Now he's in prison, but the favor of the Lord is still upon him so much that he keeps rising to these positions of authority and having a stewardship under basically the top person of wherever it is that he ends up landing. Let me see. Let's drop down to let's start at chapter 40. Let's start at verse 1. We're going to read 1 through about 7.
Genesis chapter 40 and verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against 2 of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them. And they continued a season in ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad.
So these 2 men end up offending Pharaoh, and they're thrown into the same prison that Joseph is in, and they end up having a dream. Let's continue on.
Verse 7. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth. And the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. And I took the grapes and pressed them unto Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hands.
Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are the 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou was his butler.
Right. Go ahead.
But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon.
So Joseph, when he sees that they have a dream, he like, look, the Lord can give understanding. So he understands at this point he has that type of connection. He has the interpretation of dreams to be able to give people understanding of what their dreams mean. And he said, is not this understanding, it's not the interpretation of God. So he tells the butler, in 3 days, good news, you're going to get delivered. And the same way that you were before, delivering Pharaoh's cup into his hand, you're going to be returned in just 3 days. He said, all I ask is when you get back into that position, you're a trusted advisor of Pharaoh if you're bringing him his food and his drinks, right? You could look all through history. There were taste tests and jesters, things of that nature, because when you were a person of that much authority and power, there were assassination attempts and coups. So you had to have somebody really trusted bringing in the food. So this man who was the butler, he said, look, because Pharaoh trusts you like that, you got favor, you got pull. When you go back home and you get restored to your previous position, just remember me. I'm a Hebrew. He like, look, I'm not even an Egyptian. I'm a Hebrew. I was sold here in captivity, and I'm not even supposed to be here. I didn't do nothing wrong. I'm not no criminal. I didn't offend nobody. Man, I'm telling you, I'm just in a bad predicament. So he like, when you go back to Pharaoh, just remember me, right? Let's drop down to 16 through 19.
When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head.
Uh-huh.
And in the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are the 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree. And the birds shall eat of thy flesh from off thee.
Sheesh. So he didn't get good news. He told the first guy, man, your life finna go back to where it was. And the second one, he like, look, in 3 days, your life is gonna end. Pharaoh's gonna hang you, and that bread that the birds were eating in your dream, that's actually your flesh that they picking off of your body. Go ahead.
Verse 20, and it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them.
Uh-huh.
Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him.
So it happened exactly the way that the Lord told Joseph it was going to happen. And on Pharaoh's birthday, he like, man, dang, I really need that. I want to hold this feast, but my main guys are in prison. So he like, all right, bring back my chief butler and my chief baker and put them back in their positions. You know what? My butler, he was actually a pretty good dude. You know, it was just maybe just this one slip up. I'm going to give him another chance. The baker, I don't know if he had too many chances of slipping up before, or if whatever problem he was put in there ended up actually being his fault after some investigation. But Pharaoh was like, and hang him. He not coming back. Just as Joseph told him. But the butler didn't remember, oh yeah, I knew this was going to happen because Joseph had told me, hey, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, can you free? He totally forgot. Let's start, drop down to 41. Let's start at verse 1. We're going to read 1 through, matter of fact, let me see. Let's start at verse 1.
And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river.
So after Pharaoh's birthday, it's 2 whole years that go by. And Joseph, the dreamer, the same one that was sold by his brethren, didn't do nothing wrong. The same one that was in Potiphar's house and falsely accused and thrown in prison, didn't do nothing wrong. He's now in his going or approaching his 3rd year in prison. He done did 2 full years and he's counting down the days headed towards year 3. And now Pharaoh is having a dream, right? So Joseph been in prison that whole time. Let's drop down to verse 8. So Pharaoh's having a dream, and he dreams that there's 7 fat ears of corn, right? Healthy, big ears of corn, and they eat up, or excuse me, they rise up, and then there are 7 skinny ears of corn that eat up the fat ears of corn. And so Pharaoh is troubled, and he doesn't know what this dream means, but he knows there must be a significance behind it, right? Let's drop down to verse 8.
Verse 8, and it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that can interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Verse 10. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night. I and he, we dreamed, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, servant of the captain of the guard. And we told him, he interpreted to us our dreams. to each man according to his dream, he did interpret.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged.
So after 2 years, because right, you have the butler been having a good time. He got his job back, and it ain't like, because that's the thing. We here in America, we think that servitude is like a bad word. Like, ooh, you're a servant. You just take care of people. It's an honor when you serving an upright, a just, or a powerful person, and it's even better when you got all three. So it ain't like he just some peasant. This is the trusted right-hand man of Pharaoh. And a butler is the one that waits at his side to do everything that he asks him to do. Oh, I'm thirsty. Bring me some fresh juice. Bring me some wine. Set up a lunch later with the king of the province 27. You know, whatever type of business he had. But that's his right-hand man. So he been living his life, right? Probably just back to be or excited just to be back in his position. He thought he was probably going to spend the rest of his life in jail. He might have thought that he was going to get hanged, because they was only in jail for 3 days. So Pharaoh was probably figuring out what he was going to do with him. He's so excited to be back, he done completely forgot about Joseph for 2 whole years. And when Pharaoh has a dream and starts mentioning how troubled he is, the light bulb goes off. Oh, dang. That's right. There was a young man, a Hebrew, that was in jail with us 2 years ago. He was able to interpret dreams. He told me and the old baker, we had dreams, and he explained our dreams, and exactly what he said was going to happen, happened. I got restored, but he got hanged, just like Joseph told us. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh.
Uh-huh.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee, that thou can understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
So that's one of the things Joseph always knew: give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Everyone's calling Joseph, oh, Joseph, you the man. Joseph, you're the interpreter of dreams. Joseph, you're just. And he like, look, it's not me. It's of God. He said, all right, but you can tell me God's going to utilize me as a vessel to be able to give you the interpretation of your dream. Let's drop down to verse 25.
Verse 25. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kind are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the seven thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine.
Go ahead.
This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following. For it shall be very grievous.
So, we see this in Sirach. It says, matter of fact, let me get it real fast. In times, I'm about to butcher it. Hold on, let me just look it up. It's Sirach. Let's get that real quick. Sirach 11 and 25. And this is a true saying.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 11 and verse 25. In the day of prosperity, there is a forgetfulness of affliction. And in the day of affliction, there is no more remembrance of prosperity.
So there are times where you having a real good day. Everything just going right? Just everything you got concerned or you have concerns over, everything you got going, it's just going smooth. And that'll make you forget maybe a year ago you was just overwhelmed. I just can't do this no more. I just don't feel like, it's all these negative thoughts that's crossing your mind. It's all these things that you're trying to battle within yourself. But then you keep moving forward and you have a great time where you laughing, you're rejoicing, and you don't even remember the hard time of that sleepless night that you had all those months ago or whatever. And vice versa. You could be having a great day. Everything going smooth. Everything's going great. And somewhere down the line, you have a day so rough, it just feels like the world is ending. Just it's all over. Right? Everything's over. My life is over. I don't care. It don't matter if I live or die. It just feels overwhelming. And you would totally forget that amazing day or that amazing night that you had just a little bit before that. Just maybe a few months or a year before that. That was how bad the famine that was coming to Egypt was going to be. He said there's going to be 7 years of plenty. Everything's going to prosper. Basically, we're going to live it up. All your animals, they finna have babies on babies. Your people finna flourish. The crop, the corn is all going to come in abundance for 7 whole years. And then he said, but right after those 7 years of abundance, there's going to be a famine so bad that people won't even remember the 7 years of plenty. People won't even regard the 7 years of plenty. That's how bad the famine that follows is going to be. Keep in mind, you're doing good for 7 years. You're going to remember that time of your life. But it ain't going to take long after the food dries up, the wine dries up, the money's scarce, and ain't nobody got no food. It don't take long to forget about all them good times. Or, you start thinking back, man, I remember one time I had a little scrap of food on my plate I threw away. You start thinking it logically and just wishing you could have preserved something from that time because it's just such a rough time that you're going to go through. That's what Joseph was telling Pharaoh. This is what's going to happen to your land and your people.
32.
Yeah, let's drop down to let's drop down to verse 35.
And let them
Actually, I'm sorry, verse 34.
Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store into the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine.
So this is food preservation, right? This is survival. Joseph realizes, or Joseph instructs Pharaoh, look, while you have 7 years of plenteous, you are going to have excess. So just take 20%. That's really not a party pooper, a killer of the, that's not going to affect y'all prosperity. It's not like people are going to be hungry for half the time so that they can extend the time. It's going to be so much. Just take up 20% and save it. And tell all your people to start saving of some of the plenteous years that are to come. And that's going to sustain you through the 7 years of famine. Read on.
Verse 37. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou.
So Pharaoh realizes, dang, if the Lord is dealing with you like that, he said you must be discreet and wise. Wisdom is the application of the fear of the commandments and discretion. The Most High don't show everybody everything. Everybody has different intentions with what they do once they have a level of power. Some people, they talk too much. They're going to spill it all. And, really, God told me that it's going to be a lot of that. So he like, dang, if God trusts you with secrets, then you must be a discreet man. You must know when to reveal information, when not to. You must know when to speak and when not to. That's a very wise quality. So he's like, man, if God dealing with you like that, I don't see anybody more qualified than to put you in charge. So he said, you're going to come into my house and you're going to be an authority over everything that I own. And the only person that's going to have a higher position than you is me. That's the way that the Most High was with Pharaoh. No matter all the tribulation that he faced in his life, all the betrayal and the scandals and things being set up to try to frame circumstances and to frame him, he was still, it's like you couldn't keep him down. He kept being put into higher and higher positions because the Lord was with him. Let's read on.
Verse 41. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt.
So again, not too shabby. It ain't like he just, getting into more comfortable positions. He was, putting on nice garments, like the king quality garments, not just the rough stuff, not the decent stuff, the luxuries. Put a gold chain on him, gave him a ring. Hey, you stamped. Anything that you need to do, when you put that insignia on it, it's golden. It's worth just as much as if I, the Pharaoh, had said it. And then he paraded him through Egypt in his second chariot right behind him. So people are like, damn, who's this guy? He riding right behind Pharaoh. Well, the Pharaoh went first. He went second. That's his second in command. Everyone's recognizing Joseph. And Pharaoh he wasn't even playing about Joseph. He like, don't let nobody speak to you no type of way. You're royalty now. That's it. And then let's drop down to verse 46. Look at this.
Verse 46. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
It wasn't even like he was an old man. All of this had happened within 13 years. Joseph was sold at about 17, maybe closer to 18. And he spent a good amount of time. Well, first he was in Potiphar's house, right? He must have been there for years. Potiphar realized everything was prospering. I'm pretty sure that was a process. But then he was put in prison for about 2 years. So maybe he spent 10 years in Potiphar's house. Then he spent at least 2 years in prison, maybe 3. Now he the man. And he's still young. Really, his life is still ahead of him. But he's the ruler over all of Egypt, save Pharaoh himself. Let's drop down to verse 49.
And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering, for it was without number. And until Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God, said he, hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house.
Go ahead.
And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction.
So Pharaoh still has his wife. He ends up having 2 kids. This is the same Ephraim and Manasseh from the 12 tribes of the house of Jacob. So this is why we don't see Joseph. I think we might have time to get to it, but nonetheless, Jacob ends up giving the blessing that he would have given to Joseph unto his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. So those aren't actually Jacob's sons. They're his grandsons, and they were still built up to be tribes in the house of Israel. Let's read on.
Verse 53. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread.
So it wasn't like just a situation that was happening in Egypt. There was a famine across the whole earth, the known world at that time. And the only place on earth that there was bread was in Egypt. So this was a major deliverance, because you're essentially talking about an extinction level event when there's no food that can be grown anywhere. And only because the Most High dealt with Joseph, because his brethren envied him and sold him unto captivity, because those Ishmaelites, Potiphar just so happened to be buying servants and slaves from Ishmaelites that day that Joseph was in that basket, because Potiphar's wife tempted Joseph and got him kicked out. Because mind you, if Potiphar's wife would have never done that, Joseph would have just been head over or second in command of Potiphar's house. And that was his job, and that was his duty, and that would have been his life. But because she tempted him and got him put in prison, that was the reason why he met Pharaoh's butler and Pharaoh's baker. So all of these things, as much as they look like, horrible trials that he was going through, they was really just building him up. Over and over, he got trusted with more and more responsibility. He got trusted with more and more duties in a higher and higher position. Now at this point, just at 30 years old, he's reached the pinnacle of authority, not only in Egypt, but essentially all the world at this point. Egypt is the only place that even has food. So Egypt is a superpower, and some, because if they don't sell you food, you're going to starve. Let's drop. Oh, actually, Colin, let's read on.
Verse 55. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph. What he hath said to you, do.
That's the level of pull Joseph had. They came to essentially their king, the Pharaoh, and he said, look, go talk to Joseph. I already know he got it. Right? Because the people already had their own storehouses and things of that nature. All this time, they haven't even tapped into the king's rations. That's how calculated this whole move was. Go ahead.
And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all lands.
So everybody was going through it. And Joseph, in those 7 years of plenty, he had saved up so much that he wasn't just feeding the Egyptians, it was all the other countries of the earth traveling to Egypt to get food because there was no food anywhere, right? Let's see. Let's drop down to 42. We're going to read 1 through 16, and then we're going to read 35.
Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence. That way we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brothers, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him.
So it all came full circle. Now, mind you, they've been living their lives for, 12, 13 years since they sold Joseph. They probably thinking he been dead, or he just, some dirty tattered rag slave serving somewhere in the land of the Ishmaelites. He might be down there in Ishmael, with the Ishmaelites. He might be over there in Egypt. He might have got sold into some other nation and might be dead. Matter of fact, it's a famine going on in the earth. Nobody have food. So they probably thinking, man, as a slave, that's going to be, hey, the slaves is going to be the first people you stop feeding. You got a wife and kids, man, hey, look, I'm going to have to set my servants free. I ain't got no food for you. So they probably thinking Joseph dead, but it's been over a decade since they seen their brother. So when they walk in, he recognizes, oh, wait a minute. Here they go right there. But they don't recognize him because they sold him as a boy, and now he a 30-year-old man. So he's speaking rough to him. He realizes they don't immediately recognize him, and he kind of comes up with an idea in his own mind. Let's read on.
Verse 9. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's son. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved by the life of Pharaoh. Ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither.
So Joseph realized, he remembered his dream, like, oh, this must be what that meant, that y'all gonna bow down to me. Because now he in a position of power, not only because he's royalty, but when the food runs out, if there was something like this to happen on the earth today, which the scriptures speak about famine, the money don't matter. You can't eat money. You can't drink gold. So after a certain point, even the money and the royalty and the expensive clothes and the status, that is totally irrelevant when everyone's survival is at risk. So Joseph recognizes, man, not only am I the man in Egypt, but y'all can't even eat if I don't say so. Literally. If I tell these men not to sell you nothing, you going back home empty-handed. And he remembered, and he like, man, this how it's going down. So he low-key, he got some animosity. And so he don't be just, oh, my brothers. Oh, he was like, nah, y'all spies. I bet you came up here just to see the nakedness of the land. Whether that means to mock or that means y'all trying to plan a coup, you trying to use this opportunity while the land is crippled to get power out here, but he's accusing them, right? And he said, basically, we're going to have a real problem unless y'all can verify your story. You say you 12 brethren, right? Your youngest brother is back with his father, and one of your brothers died, which he realizes they're talking about him because they think he dead. He says, so unless you bring back that youngest brother so that I can prove your story, I'm considering y'all spies and enemies of the state. So that's like, man. So he laying some heavy sentences on him, right? Let's read on.
Verse 16. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely ye are spies. And he put them all together into ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the third day, This do, and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye carry corn for the famine of your houses. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so.
So first thing he did, he was like, nah, I'm putting all y'all in prison. Take one of you, go all the way back home, bring your youngest brother, and I'll let y'all all go because I'll believe you. But then he like, man, that ain't right. I'm not finna put y'all in prison for, these days. So he said, look, leave one. Instead of me taking all 10 of y'all, or 11 or 10, because one's back home, one they thought was dead, which is him. He said, I'll let all of y'all go except for one, just so that I have some type of collateral that you're going to bring the youngest brother back. He said, you bring your younger brother back, and I'll believe you. So they go back home. They tell Jacob, who's now, he is an old man. They're like, man, Dad, you won't believe we went to Egypt to buy, and there was this dude. We don't know who he is, but he was dealing with us rough. He hot, like he said that we're spies. He accusing us. And Jacob like, dang, well, what's going on? Y'all made it out of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. He like, so where your brother at? They're like, man, Pops, he didn't believe our story. But he said that he fears God. At first, he was going to put us all in a prison. But because, he fears God, he let all of us go except for one. And he said when we bring our youngest brother back, he'll release that last one unto us. Like, we got to, who was the youngest? He like, we got to take our youngest brother. Say it again? Benjamin, I believe. I think it was. But they like, we got to take our youngest brother and we got to go back to Egypt to prove our story. And here's the crazy part. Actually, no, let's read that from, where were we at, verse 20? 21. 21, let's read from there.
And they said one to another, we are verily guilty concerning our brother, and that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us.
So now, when stuff go bad, we try to go back to the drawing board and look at the formula like, damn, what happened? So they're like, man, why is this stuff happening to us? They immediately realize, like, man, this is judgment. Y'all remember how we did Joseph all them years ago? Yeah, it's been 13 years, but the Lord ain't forgot. Like, man, that's why this is happening to us. He was asking us to stop, and we wouldn't be kind unto him. We wasn't listening to him. So now we not being listened to while this dude who's under Pharaoh is accusing us. There's nothing that we can say in the same way that there was nothing Joseph could say to save his life. They like, man, this is judgment. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child. And ye would not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required.
So Reuben like, man, I told y'all. Didn't I tell y'all not to kill him? Didn't I tell y'all just to leave him alone? He's like, man, y'all wouldn't listen to me. He was just a kid. He said, man, now we all got to pay for this. Go ahead.
And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter.
So, mind you, this is all happening while they're in prison. This is Joseph woke up the next morning. He like, okay, I'm about to tell all y'all, or he's telling them that they're all going to go home. And they're speaking Hebrew in the cell. Like, man, this because all them years ago. Y'all remember when we did that to Joseph? But Joseph, in order to distance himself, he's using an interpreter, speaking Egyptian, and then having his interpreter speak to them in Hebrew. And then they speak to the interpreter in Hebrew, and it's translated him to Egyptian. But what they don't realize is because Joseph was a born Hebrew, he speaks both languages. But he distancing himself so they don't recognize and catch on, or they hear that voice like, damn, this dude sounds just like Joseph. Hey, brother, if you don't mind us asking, what's your name? He was keeping himself a distance, right? He keeping his identity a secret. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And he turned himself about from them and wept and returned to them again and communed with them and took from them Simeon and bound him before their eyes.
So Joseph was like, dang, they feel bad about it. And I can only imagine the amount of emotion that's coming up for him, the anger and frustration, how dare y'all. And now, mind you, they was physically stronger than Joseph because he was young. Now, they all grown men. And Joseph is in a position of power. He basically snapped his finger. He can have all of them executed if he really wanted to. He snapped his finger. They could all spend the rest of their lives in prison. And Pharaoh not even going to come and question, hey, man, can I come in? I heard you got 10 of the Hebrews up in my cellar downstairs. What's going on? Pharaoh don't care. He trusted everything to Joseph. So Joseph had every bit of authority and power in the world to deal with them as he saw fit. But he said, I fear the Lord. So he like, man, even though I could get y'all back, I know that that's not right in the eyes of the Most High. So as he was, hearing their conversation, he turned, he went, he shed some tears, he got himself together, And then he let them all out, but he tied up Simeon while they were all watching. He like, this I'm going to keep this one. And when y'all come back with y'all youngest brother, then I'll let this one go. Verse 29.
And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies.
So they go home, they give Jacob the report, they give him the rundown, and they're like, look, Simeon's still back in Egypt, and we can't get him back unless we bring it was Benjamin. Unless we bring Benjamin. Let's drop down to verse 36.
And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away? All these things are against me.
So he like, man, Jacob is just vexed. Because he like, man, I already lost one son, Joseph, all those years ago. Then y'all telling me that Simeon is in trouble in Egypt. He was tied up when y'all left. Ain't no telling what's going to happen to him. What happens if this dude who's in way higher of a position of power with an army at his disposal decides to kill Simeon because he don't believe y'all and y'all don't come back in time? He might have get like, man, y'all got 24 hours. It's a 10-hour trip there. It's a 10-hour trip back. Don't sleep. You don't know what type of stipulation he had. Or if he loses his cool while he there, man, I don't believe these dudes. Just kill the youngest brother. So Jacob doesn't know what's going on, and he's stressed out like, man, I lost one son's in Egypt, and now you telling me you want to take my youngest and take him too? Go ahead.
Verse 37. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my two sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in thee which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave.
So Jacob not trying to let his youngest son go. He like, man, look. Basically, he just didn't want to take that risk. What if something happens? I done already lost one of y'all. Now you telling me too. So Reuben is like, look, and remember, Reuben was the same one back when the other brethren were thinking about selling Joseph. Reuben was the one that was trying to save him. So Reuben's doing it again. He said, look, if I don't bring back your two sons, kill mine. I know the risk that, I understand what we ask you is a weighty matter. I understand that it's going to be difficult. But trust me, my sons are in your hands until we return. But we need to take Benjamin down there and prove that we're not spies. And it's not like they could just be like, oh, yeah, that was a crazy situation. Not only do we have one of their brethren, but as soon as they run out of food, they're going to have to go back. So it's like, man, we got to figure this out. We got to get this done. Let's jump over to chapter 45. So Joseph, for lack of a better words, and for time's sake, I'm just kind of sum it up. Good chapters, good history. Definitely recommend reading it. For lack of better words, Joseph kind of I don't want to say trolled his brothers, because it was real serious. It was like life or death. But basically, he messed with them because he well, I'm not going to threaten y'all lives. I'm not going to kill you, and I'm not going to put you in jail. That's all wicked. But he but what I can do is low-key mess with y'all and at least make you feel some fear, even though he knows he's not going to do nothing wrong to his brethren. So while all of that's going on, Joseph meets his younger brother, Benjamin, right? He's crying. He embraces him. I believe he takes him away, and they end up eating and talking to each other. And if I'm not mistaken, he reveals himself to Benjamin first. But he hasn't said anything to the rest of his brethren, right? He meets his younger brother, who he probably didn't even meet all that time. More than likely, he was born after Joseph was already gone. So Benjamin, he's a teenager at best. Let's drop down. Let me see. But yeah. So he does a bunch of stuff. So he puts their food, or excuse me, their money back into the sacks of corn they had. You know, he messed with them because they like, man, this dude barely let us go. Then they open the sack and they like, oh my God, and we didn't pay for the food. Like, what are we gonna tell him now? Then they go back to buy food. So they try to restore give the money that they were supposed to. Joseph tell them again, hey, put their money back in their sacks and take this silver cup. You know, he had like a special chalice and put it in one of their sacks. He lets them all go, Benjamin included. Then he hunts them down, makes them open up. He like, nah, somebody stole from me. I need to see every pocket check. I need to see what's in everybody's stuff. Somebody got my stuff. They open the sack. It's in Benjamin's. And then he takes Benjamin, right? He takes Benjamin. Judah tries to, basically talk him out of it. Like, hey, look, we've already lost a brother. This is the family history. These are the things that we've gone through. And let's pick it back up. Yeah, 45-1. So Judah tries to take Benjamin's place, right? And crazy, because Judah was the same one that was like, instead of us just leaving him for dead, why don't we just sell him to the Ishmaelites? Not necessarily a good thing because he's willing to sell his own brother, but at the bare minimum, he saves his life. And so Judah does the same thing for Benjamin. Like, look, our dad charged us when we took our youngest brother Benjamin into Egypt that we can't let anything happen to him. And if he's the one that's guilty of stealing your cup, we don't know how it happened, but he said, you could take me instead. But just let our youngest brother go back to our father because he's going to mourn him, just as hard or harder than he mourned Joseph. And we can't let that happen. Let's pick it up 45-1.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all the men that stood by him. And he cried, because every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
So Joseph was keeping it cool, right? He trying to be rough. He trying to be tough. He talking to them. He, setting up these scenarios and getting in their minds, and they don't know what's going on. Then while they all talking and Judah is trying to make the exchange for Benjamin, Joseph breaks down and he starts crying. And he's like, look, everybody else outside of me and these men, get out the house. I need to talk to them on an individual level. And then he finally tells them, Shalom. Like, I speak Hebrew, and I'm actually y'all brother. It's me, Joseph, right? Go ahead.
Verse 2, and he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard.
So that's how loud he was crying, because you can only imagine. He didn't been in situation after situation after situation. He thought he was going to get killed. He got thrown in a pit. He's like, oh, my God, if I don't starve to death or I don't die from dehydration, I'll probably get killed by some wild animal coming to eat me while my head's tied behind my back. I can't even imagine the level of stress and frustration and betrayal he was feeling. Then they're like, all right, just sell him. Now he in chains going to who knows where. And it ain't like if you was a servant sold into slavery, you was always having an honorary purpose or an honorary role. He could have been sold to any type of situation, right? The Egyptians were known for homosexuality. You don't know why they want to buy a teenage boy. Let's just be real. So all this stuff is running through Joseph's mind. Thank God he gets to Potiphar, who just needs a servant and has a wife, right? He's building. He gets tempted with lust as Potiphar's wife is trying to lay with him, grabs him, tries to force him. He runs, maintaining his integrity. He did the right thing. Then she lies on him. Another betrayal. Another leaving everything he knows and out of his home because of BS, basically. Then he's in prison. He's in a high position in prison. Meets the butler and the baker. Sees his way out. They forget about him for 2 years. So I'm pretty sure he like, all right, 3 days from now, you're going to leave this prison. I'm pretty sure day 5, he like, damn. It's kind of taking that, taking that butler a little while to tell Pharaoh what's going on. Week 2, like, damn, what's going on? 3 months in, you can't even imagine, like, damn, he forgot. That's it. It's been 3 months. That butler should have been mentioning Pharaoh that I was in here. 6 months go by. 9 months go by. A year. Year and 3 months. 6 months. He didn't, man, he like, damn, I'm probably never getting out of here. He got thrown in jail by Potiphar, who's a high-ranking position. Again, somebody that nobody's going to come and check and say, hey, who do you have in prison? Who could we let? They're not doing that. If you don't get released by the person that put you in there, you're not getting out. So Potiphar, at this point, he probably been forgot about Joseph. And if he not going to release him because he thinks he tried to sleep with his wife and the butler forgot him, Joseph probably thought his life was over. That's it. All these things have led up to this moment. He's overwhelmed with emotion, and he's crying so loud that the people outside the house are able to hear him because it's just so much that has happened since the last time he saw his brethren. Verse 3.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Do my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life.
Woo! And all praises he had more integrity than they did, because they was trying to kill him out of envy and jealousy. Now, they've really robbed him of a lot of what his life could have and should have been. And when he had that position of power, he doesn't choose to exercise it to get that revenge, right? He reveals himself. Well, first he asks him, he's like, look, it's me, Joseph. Is Dad alive? And everybody's stunned. Joseph? He like, yes, the one you sold into slavery. The one that you sold and got rid of all those years ago. Yes, it's me. Is Dad alive? And they still couldn't say anything. But he tells them, because, you know, they realize, like, man, our lives is hanging in the balance. This the brother we sold, the one that we tied up mercilessly. You know, they said we didn't hear his words. So, you know, Joseph was talking to them while he's being tied up. Why are y'all doing this? Come on, man. I'm your brother. I love you. Can't we work it out? And come on, man, without my coat. Like, so that when he says he's Joseph, they just stunned like, uh-oh. We in this house by ourselves. He told everybody to get out. Like, man, he probably got a sword. He's finna cut us all down. And Joseph says, don't worry about it. Don't be angry at yourselves. Don't fear. He said, ultimately, this was all the Most High's will for me to be here so that I can preserve life. That's what Joseph realized. All the trouble and the tribulation that he went through in his life was to lead him to that moment, because he was going to be a savior, not only to, I don't even want to say the nation of Israel, because we wasn't even a nation yet, more like a really big family, but he realizes all of this was for me to be in this position so that I could basically be used to save the world as it is. Go ahead.
Verse 6, for these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in the which there shall neither be eating nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a prosperity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt.
Excuse me. So Joseph tells his brethren, look, there was all a purpose behind everything that I experienced. And as he looks back, he like, really, it kind of all worked out because, you know, I'm in control now. Like, it's not just like I survived all those years and I'm beat up, missing an arm. Yeah, I had an abusive slave master that did this and did that. They found him in royalty, far above the positions that they had accomplished in their lives, right? So they're only in year 2 of 7 of the famine, right? So Joseph been in a position of rulership for about 7 years now. Yes. So now he's maybe about 37 years old. because he started to rule Pharaoh's house at 30, which was right after the interpretation of the dream. You have the 7 years of plenty, and then you have the 2 years of famine, because if you drop down to verse 11, he tells you there are yet 5 years of famine still. So Joseph is about 39, actually. He's about 39 years old. He'd been in that position of power and authority for about 9 years, right? But look at everything he went through just to get to that point. And his life had a cool point with the Potiphar situation, but he went through way more bad than good, in his adult life up until that point. And it wasn't until he got to 30 to be a ruler in Pharaoh's house that his life really kind of took off in the good sense, where he's enjoying the luxuries and enjoying, being a servant to a great man and being in a position of authority. Let's drop down to verse 16.
And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come, and it pleased Pharaoh well and his servants.
So Joseph, after he inquires about his father, he inquires about, how has everybody been? They catching up, they brothers. And he like, man, this was supposed to happen, right? So he having so much patience and so much understanding with his brethren, he like, y'all don't even worry about it. This is how it needed to be. So he invites for them to go and get the rest of their kids, their families, their brother, and whoever else is of the progeny of Jacob, and invite them back into the land of Egypt. So this big family comes into Egypt, and everybody recognizes or hears that this is Joseph's family, and he's such a mighty man, so excellent, and has caused prosperity so much that Pharaoh is happy. Like, okay, cool. It's more of you. Oh, okay, cool. Your father, your brethren, your cousins, all right, cool. Even more of the Hebrews coming to the land. That's fine. Everyone's good. Everyone's good with it because they realize just one man of the Hebrews has been able to do all these things. Imagine if we have 70 of them, right? So they're glad to have more Israelites in the land. Let's drop down. Actually, no, let's keep going. Let's read on from there.
Verse 17.
Uh-huh.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, say unto thy brethren, this do ye, lade your beasts and go, get you unto the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat the fat of the land.
So Joseph had so much pull, he was, being given to his brethren the best of the best in Egypt. Right? The best of the best land. They had enough food to be able to survive. He like, y'all ain't even got a trip no more. You are going to be taken care of. Right? And he ends up bringing all his people in. He gives a whole bunch into Benjamin, which was pretty much the only brother of his family that didn't do him wrong. Even though Reuben, again, it's hard to give Reuben credit because Reuben didn't really stand up for him. Reuben tried to come up with a plan in secret, but Reuben didn't say, nah, man, we're not going to do that because anything could happen while he in that pit. So Reuben he not really, he going to keep them alive. He going to do right by them, but Benjamin's the only one he blessing. He gave him changes of clothes, hundreds of pieces of silver. He put Benjamin on, right? Let's drop down to verse 46, and let's read 1 through 6. Yeah, chapter 46, verse 1 through 6.
And Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto the God of his father Isaac. And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. Mm-hmm. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the little ones and their wives, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods, which they gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Jacob. And these are the names of the children of Israel.
Colin, we don't have to get every single name. It's a lot of useful genealogy to know who the people are. But at this point, the nation of Israel was just Jacob and 70 souls. Just, his, what does he have? He has 12 biological sons, but Joseph wasn't with him with Ephraim and Manasseh. So just his 11 sons, their wives, their kids, and everything else that they had. It was only basically like a big family, right? It's 70 people within his family at this point. Let's drop down to chapter 47, and let's read 1 through 4.
Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan. And behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, what is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. They said moreover unto Pharaoh, for to sojourn in the land are we come, for thy servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen.
And the land of Goshen, this was for the Egyptians, they didn't really regard this as valuable land because it was like an abomination unto the Egyptians to be shepherds. That was something that was mentioned in the previous chapters. Let me pull that up real fast. That's 46 and 34. Genesis 46 and 34. Because they talk about, we don't have to get it, because they talk about, for the Egyptians to be a shepherd was an abomination. Like that was an occupation that was regarded as a lowly state. However, for our people, that's like the pinnacle of what you can do, right? That's a beautiful occupation amongst our culture. So they was like, man, it's a famine in all the land, but I'm gonna put them in the land of Goshen because it's a plainiest. That's the right word. It's full of plains, full of open, flat ground, great for herds. And in Egypt, our people were actually known as the Hyksos, the Hyksos, the Hyksos, or shepherd kings. This was the start of how the Hyksos came to be because Joseph was in this position of power. So he really changed the course of history, the course of Israel, and the survivability of essentially all nations at this point, because he chose to maintain his integrity, and the Most High chose to continue to deal with him accordingly. Let's drop down to verse 18.
Verse 18. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, we will not hide it from my lord, how that our money is spent. My lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate.
So everybody in Egypt, mind you, this is only the second year of 7 years of famine. So it's more famine to come than has already transpired. And everybody in Egypt is completely out of money. They ain't got nothing left. So they like, look, we done gave it all to you. We done gave you the money. If you had a herd, then you could kind of barter, right? Okay, how about this? I'll give you a gallon of milk for a pound of flour. They did that until they had to trade the whole cow. Here, take 700 pounds of beef. Just give me 300 pounds of corn, 300 pounds of flour. whatever it was, the exchange rate, right? And then even then, people was out. So they like, look, it ain't nothing left. Well, look, just buy us. We'll serve Pharaoh. You can have our land. You own all of us as slaves, but just keep us alive. So Pharaoh is even more excited. Every time he turn around, he gonna love Joseph even more. He was the interpreter of his dream when his priests and all his magicians couldn't. He was already familiar with his head butler, right? Because they did time together. He was wise in the way that he moved and presented himself before Pharaoh, helped him to prevent the destruction of his own people. But then, Egypt was going crazy with wealth because all the nations were coming unto Pharaoh and trying to trade what they could. So it wasn't like the Egyptians are the only ones bringing their last bit of money. Every nation was doing that. Then when they ran out of money, they was bringing their cattle. Then when they ran out of cattle, they like, hey, well, buy me, buy my so-and-so, buy here, take my servant. Now, Pharaoh's wealth it is incredible. He has some incredible wealth. Now, even the people of Egypt are in the same position, and they're at a place where they're like, look, we don't even have anything else to buy. We'll be your servants too. Just keep us alive. So as Pharaoh is watching his wealth continue to build, he just like, damn, this Joseph dude is crazy. Man, this Joseph dude is something else. You got all nations coming to me to buy this food. For one, you the one that told me to save the food. God used you to preserve everybody. And then you got the wealth coming in because we the only ones that got it. Everybody else was partying for 7 years. Then you got the Egyptians willing to turn over the rest of the land of Egypt. So it's not like Pharaoh just had a big palace. He owned everything and everyone. He loved Joseph at this point. So let's drop down to and the only people's land that he didn't take was the priests of Egypt because they were assigned by Pharaoh to be able to have land and to be able to be given food accordingly to sustain themselves. Let's drop down to verse 27.
And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt. But I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, swear unto me. And he swore unto him. And Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head.
So at this point, Jacob, which we know is Israel, he's a old man, right? He's about to be 150. And he's realizing how much of a decline that he's experiencing. And he said, look, my time is coming sooner or later. He asked Joseph, don't bury me here, but take me back, take my bones back to where our people are. Bury me with my fathers, right? Drop 48 in verse 1.
And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim.
Go ahead.
And one told Jacob and said, behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob...
Let's drop down to verse 8.
Verse 8. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, they are my sons, whom God hath given me in the place. And he said, bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them.
Let's drop down to verse 13.
And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands rightingly and wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into the multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
So it was customary whenever you had a firstborn that whatever you had, the firstborn got a double portion, meaning basically he was even more strengthened than the rest of your children that you would give something to, because that's your firstborn, right? And so Jacob has been shown something that Joseph doesn't know, because he's blessing the younger one. And he's like, hold on, Dad, you got it backwards. This is actually my younger son. And he's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, but he's going to be even greater than his older brother. And not to get off topic, but this is not a super common, but a fairly common thing, right? Joseph being the younger of his brethren up until his younger brother Benjamin was born. But you see how much of a blessing that was bestowed upon him and the life that he lived, right? You see Jacob and Esau. Jacob's now an old man, but Jacob was the younger brother of Esau. And then you see it occurring again with Ephraim and Manasseh, to where the younger brother is being told, look, you're going to be even greater than the older. You're actually, whatever it is that you're going to do and the way that you're going to go forth, the way that your children are going to be and the people of your tribe, you're going to be even greater than your older brother. Let's drop down for the sake of time. There's a lot of history. Matter of fact, oh, and I think we mentioned this before. So that's also how Ephraim and Manasseh come into the tribes of Jacob, because even though they weren't Jacob's sons, they're his grandsons. The blessing that he would have given Joseph, he passed on to his sons. Let's jump over to chapter 50. Let's get 1 through 3.
And Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. And the physicians embalmed Israel. And 40 days were fulfilled for him, for so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptians mourned for him 60 days.
Let's drop down. So Jacob, being an old man, he ends up passing away. Let's drop down to verse 15.
And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee, now, the trespass of thy brethren and their sin, for they did unto thee evil. And now we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of the God of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him.
And it's crazy. They still lying, right? They old now. All of them, I mean, we kind of jumped through the history, so I don't have an exact track of how old Joseph is at this point, but these is older men. And they like, ooh, Joseph, because him and dad always had that special relationship, he didn't put his hands upon us because dad was alive. But now that he gone, he probably about to get us back. So they come up with another plan. The same way that they did all those years ago to sell him, they come together, they game plan, and they come up with a lie. Hey, Joseph, he didn't tell you, but dad told us that before he passed, he wanted us to make amends and for you to forgive us. And Joseph, and here's the crazy part. Listen what Joseph says to him. Let's drop down to verse 19.
Verse 19. And Joseph said unto them, fear not, for am I in the place of God?
Uh-huh.
But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore fear ye not, I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them. He comforted them and spake kindly unto them.
Now look at that. He like, man, don't worry about it. First and foremost, he said, look, am I the Most High? Mind you, he's in a real high position. He could easily go see about that. He could throw all of them in prison. Them, their kids, their wives. And he didn't even at least hit them with the 2 years. Like, hey, I was in prison for 2 years and this many days, or 3 years and this many days. You got to at least do that. He said, man, I ain't in the place of the Most High. Most High going to get you. The judgment that the Lord is going to set. But he said, look, the reality is this had to happen this way. This was of the Most High's will. Because ultimately, I had to be here to not only save Egypt, but to save the rest of the world. So he said, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of your kids. I'm going to take care of your wives. Fear not. After this, if you want to, you can read 22 through 26. But after this, Joseph dies, right? He gets older. But look at the legacy that he leaves. Look at the type of man that he was, the type of patience he exercised. I always read stories like this, and I'm amazed, like, man, look at the spirit of the Most High that was in him, because most of us would have wanted the revenge. Most of us would have wanted to get back. Most of us would have taken it further. And most of us probably just, that we would have wanted to get something out of it. But let's go to Romans 12 and 21, and we'll end it with this. Let's start off at verse 19. We're going to read 19 through 21.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head.
Go ahead.
Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
And Joseph was an excellent example of this. Joseph's brothers made themselves enemies unto him. It wasn't that they just had this rivalry. He wasn't of another nation. He wasn't even of another family. You talking about their little brother. But because of the envy that they had towards him, they were willing to do horrible things against him, conspire against him. And initially, they were willing to murder him. And not even like a quick, all right, man, let's get it over with. We just going to cut right here in a couple minutes, it'll all be over. They was leaving him for wolves, for coyotes, for whatever, a snake, whatever else was going to come along and smell him in that pit. They did some cold stuff. And even though they had made themselves enemies unto their brother, when it was within his power, he fed them. He fed them. And he didn't even make them customers for the rest of their lives. He had his moment where he, was messing with them. And then he said, man, bring the whole family. I'm not just going to have y'all be customers and treat you distant. I'm going to bring you into this land. I'm going to bring you under my wing. And the same way that God said you was going to bow, you are going to bow. But it ain't like you bowing from a low position. You're going to be bowing from high up yourself. Then when they thought that they was in trouble again, oh man, you know, Jacob gone, he probably gone. He said, look, I'm going to take care of you, your wives, your children. I got you. Don't worry about it. Have the fat of the land. While the rest of Egypt and the rest of the world, they selling every little thing that's to their name to try and survive, you're not going to have to go through that. You're not going to be servants unto Pharaoh. I'm going to make sure that you dwell in a good land and that you have the fat of Egypt, which is like the best of it. He took care of them their whole lives, took care of their kids. And he wasn't overcome with the evil that he experienced. He could have went, matter of fact, he could have went back to Potiphar. He could have, man, I'm the second in command of all of Egypt. Hey, remember that time I told you that your wife was trying to make this happen? I tried to tell you it was the truth, but now I'm here to execute judgment. Bring her out, hang her. He didn't even go do that. Whew. Joseph just embraced everything that he had experienced in his life, realizing that he was being used for the will of the Most High, and how much he had gained from his submission to the Most High. He was entreating his enemies for good and didn't have that same level of vengeance. He gave that place to the Lord. And that's why when his brothers asked him, like, you're not going to get us back? He was like, man, I'm not the Most High. Am I the Lord? Nah. He said the Most High is going to set forth the judgment. Now, whatever ends up happening to y'all, it's on you. But it's not going to be by my hand. Joseph wasn't overcome with evil, but he overcome the evil with good. So all praises to the Most High. Hopefully this was edifying. Definitely go back and read through those chapters because we kind of bounced around for the sake of time and we still took longer than anticipated. But it's a beautiful story, and it's a lot of scriptural principles. It's a testament of faith. It's a testament of patience. And it's a testament of that Romans 12, not being overcome with evil, but overcoming evil with good. Feeding your enemies, and treating those that you could really get back, but choosing to have mercy upon them and allowing the Most High's judgments or his mercies to be the ones to be set forth. So we appreciate you for tuning in with us, Israel. You can catch us here tomorrow, bringing in the Day of Atonement. And with that, we say Shalom.
If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the